Prime Minister Justin Trudeau smugly told reporters that Ontario Premier Doug Ford was essentially ignorant when it comes to issues of illegal border crossing and asylum seekers.
It didn't seem to me that the Premier was quite as aware of our international obligations to the UN Convention on Refugees as he might have been. So I spent a little time explaining how the asylum-seeking system works.
It's rich that Trudeau would claim that he explained refugee policy to Ford, since Trudeau himself has been completely ignorant on the topic since before he was even elected Prime Minister. Did Trudeau explain to Ford how migrants take advantage of Canada's generosity by illegally hopping the border rather than waiting in UN refugee camps like millions of less fortunate refugees who are truly in need of protection? Did he explain how human smuggling rings send migrants to cross illegally in order to circumvent the Safe Third Country Agreement, an international treaty that prevents asylum seekers from shopping around to choose a more lenient country to make their claim? According to a lawyer and York University professor who taught refugee law and has authored several UN and government reports on the subject, Trudeau is actually wrong about Canada's UN treaty obligations. That lawyer says that Canada has no obligation whatsoever to take refugee applications from those coming from the US, a safe country, unless a judge were to rule otherwise. Did Trudeau explain how his own Minister of Transportation once admitted that 90% of asylum applications were bogus and that those people will eventually be deported at the expense of Canadian taxpayers? That minister later clarified that he was referring specifically to Haitian migrants, but historical data shows that the majority of asylum seekers applying in Canada are eventually rejected and deported. Did Trudeau explain to Ford that emails made public through an access to information request showed that Trudeau's own virtue signaling on social media caused chaos in government offices and led to a surge in asylum applications? Did Trudeau explain to Ontario's Premier that refugee policy and border enforcement are both 100% the responsibility of the federal government? I doubt it. Trudeau has been absolutely clueless when it comes to Canada's refugee policy, since the day he naively pledged to welcome 25,000 Syrian refugees on a rushed timeline with no regard for national security and no regard for refugee integration programs. And while it's true that Canada's hands are somewhat tied when it comes to how we process refugee applications, thanks to UN treaties and past governments that have signed them, there's plenty that Trudeau could do to quell the surge in illegal border crossings. For instance, we know that many migrants come to Canada specifically for our generous healthcare and welfare programs. While Yazidi women are suffering as medieval sex slaves to ISIS thugs in the Middle East, Trudeau is focused on guaranteeing free apartments and free dental care to asylum seekers who come from relatively safe and prosperous countries like Nigeria. Once an asylum claim is made, migrants are free to travel and live wherever they please. Given the flood of claims, 70,000 since Trudeau sent out his infamous tweet in January 2017, wait lists for refugee hearings are now between 2 years and could be up to 11 years. Migrants know that even if their claims are eventually found to be bogus, they still get a few years in Canada, enough time to take advantage of free healthcare, education, welfare payments to make it all worthwhile. If Trudeau wanted to stop this madness, he could, while still observing our UN treaty obligations. Trudeau could limit the taxpayer benefits given to asylum seekers. He could speed up the processing of applications, mandate a hearing within 15 or 30 days, and, like Australia, hold all asylum seekers in a holding centre until their hearing date. Word would travel fast that Canada was putting an end to the gravy train, and human smugglers would find another country to take advantage of. Someone needs to explain all of this to Justin Trudeau. For the True North Initiative, I'm Candice Malcolm. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more just like it, please subscribe. You can do that right here, or sign up for our newsletter here. You should also follow us on all of our social media accounts. Club members also receive exclusive content, True North Initiative swag, and early access to our videos. Find out more in the link below. I hope you join us, and thanks again for watching this video.